You do know Colson is a senior, right? Can they win Player of the Year? Sure.
Hey folks, this is Amy. We'll start in about 5 minutes, but if you haven't done so already, if you could just mute your mic, that would be appreciated. Thanks. All right, good morning, everybody. This is Amy at NDE. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to share my screen here. We'll kind of just go through the agenda. I do have some things I want to talk to everybody about. Just let you know where we're at. So right now we have approximately 158 districts and growing, because I have Ginny kind of double checking, publishing their data. So we're at about 65%, and I anticipate us being closer to at least 75 or 80%, probably by early next week, because we've got a lot of folks working out there. One of the things I want to remind you to do, and I'll take you to that website in a minute, but on our agenda, I need you, if you are publishing your data, I need you to go to that advisor website, go to that progress reporting. There's a click here to edit sheets, so that gives you the option to open that up. And what I am most concerned about is the green columns. So if you could just make sure that your district's green columns, if you are indeed publishing data, and you can see your data in the advisor validation website, please mark that as complete. If there's blank data in the yellow and you're able to fill in those blanks, please do that as well. So again, I make people do this when they come to work days. Probably the first couple of work days I did, I forgot to do it because I had it at the end of my agenda, but now it's at the beginning of my agenda. So if you've attended a work day and you went out and did this, you're good to go. But if you're doing this on your own, or if you're working kind of one-on-one with your vendor, again, if you could please go out and mark that complete, that is very important. One of the goals that we've set, an original goal, was to have all districts publishing by December 1st. And I've moved that back to December 15th because I know Infinite Campus is working pretty hard. And it looks like they're going to have most of their folks up and running on and before December 15th. JMC is another one that's getting out there. And I think actually Go Register is almost done. So we just had a few vendors that were a little bit behind, and so we're just giving people a little bit of extra time. But by December 15th, we need to have all districts, with the exception of some of those who are making that transition, the Sycamore districts, and a couple of our state-operated publishing. If you're not publishing by then we're going to work with leadership here at NDE, and your superintendent or district admin will be contacted from some form of leadership here at NDE.
Amy,
Yes.
this is Tina. In regards to JMC, as far as publishing,
Right.
we have set a December, and I can't remember, I think it's 14th meeting.
Yeah.
Right, and that's just an introductory meeting, and then what he's wanting to do is set districts up on a time where they can connect with him independently to connect. So
Okay, and that's fine. I'm not going to send people who are actively working on getting this done a nastygram.
okay,
So we probably have approximately 12 or so, 12 to 20 schools, and I'm going to be blunt, that just don't think this is going to happen, and they're wrong. So if you are friends with, or you work with other districts that don't think this is important, don't think they need to be putting in the time, do the right thing and let them know that it is and that they need to. So that's kind of my soapbox. Hold on, I got to switch screens here. Why can't I bring my chat up?
About the districts that are migrating from Sycamore. Obviously we don't expect them to be migrated to a new SIS
Right.
by December 15th.
And we still have some state operated that we're working with. So, and if somebody's actively working, but like I said, we've probably already got a list of about 10 or 12 that have done zero, nothing. They weren't part of last year. They have done nothing this year. Those are the districts that we'll be targeting. So again, if you're friends with or you know any of those districts, let them know, hey, this advisor thing, it's not going away. And yes, is it optional to be part of this? You bet. But for those of you who've probably started to go through this process, would you want to be doing this with live data next year? Probably not.
As for the Sycamore district, I think they should have some kind of a plan together by December 15th.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I
We
think
can
we
check
only
up on
have, yeah, I think we only have 2 that we haven't heard from yet. So, right. So I would say those Sycamore districts need to tell us at least what their plan is and when they plan to have things in place. So we can continue to work with them. Okay, hold on. I'm having technical, like, I want to bring up my screen. Oh, because it's right here. Sorry. Too many windows. Okay. So that's my, sorry. So that's my soapbox today. And most of you that are on here probably you're not in that small group, but I know that districts talk amongst themselves. I know I have some ESU folks on here, so I just want to make sure that you understand the importance of this. Roll call. Sorry, I forgot to do that. If you want to go ahead and just type your name and then what district or ESU you're with as we're doing our meeting, that would be helpful, and I'll capture that. Just trying to get an idea of who's coming to meetings and whatnot. Thank you.
Amy, I'm not sure how to do that. I'm having a little bit of trouble using this this program.
Okay, so somewhere on your screen should be the option to chat.
It's under participants. If you go to participants, it drops down a list of all the participants. And then at the bottom of that, there's a chat button.
Yeah, that would be really good if I could get there.
Do you see the window that shows Amy's screen?
Yes.
If you hover on that, I think you'll see a bar at the bottom that'll say
Oh,
participant, share, chat.
okay. Thank you.
No problem. Each one of these little connecting things or distance learning things is a little bit different. So if you don't know where the button is, it can be kind of frustrating. All right, so my big thing was to update the progress report. I talked about that. December 15th goal. I just want to remind people, JIPIT-wise, again, we're still running 2 different help desks, NSSRS versus advisor help desk. So if you have an advisor-specific question, if you're starting to look at your data and things don't look right, that would probably be a JIPIT ticket. If you're having trouble with connections or things uploading, you know, if it makes sense to try to go through your vendor first, please try to do that. If not, then by all means, send a JIPIT ticket. Generally speaking, things seem to be going well in that manner. Every once in a while, we'll get something in NSSRS that really just needs to go to advisor. So just putting a reminder out there. Real quickly, I'm going to have Max give you some vendor status updates. And then what I really want to do is I want to spend some time. We've done probably nearly at least 15 probably work days in the last month, if not more. And I want to get some feedback from folks on how they think things are going. But Max, I'll let you talk about where we are with any of the vendors and issues there.
Yep. As we've kind of already mentioned, JMC was certified, and we have a time frame for getting the districts introduced and then set up. That's also basically where we are at with SRS. SRS has finished their certification. They are identifying some districts that they would like to begin the rollout with, and ESUCC will contact them directly, and we'll start out with them. Then ESUCC will let you know when they open it up for everyone to use. Other than that, we've been working with PowerSchool and Infinite Campus a lot. Infinite Campus has possibly all of their districts, or almost all of their districts now have gone through the setup process. So and we're working through some issues with them, but basically we're up and running there. And I haven't heard much of anything out of Go EduStar lately, but we will be following up with Go EduStar districts. I will be at some point to work out some of those issues. So, and Sims is Anna's getting connected with her first districts. If any of you ESU3 people are on the phone. And we expect to get the rest of those up soon as well. So all the vendors are in good places, I would say.
Yes, no, that's just it. Really, everybody, I mean, we're having some minor issues when it comes to data, all very fixable. We've had some really successful work days, I think, over the past few weeks where we're getting people in looking at their data. My primary focus for this kind of first go around was really to start focusing on the state data. I know a lot of you are anxiously awaiting to get into the dashboard, and not everybody's there yet. And hopefully we do plan to do another round of work days in the spring, most likely March, April, and then the dashboard will be more of a focus on those work days as well. All right, so here is your chance to let me know, how are things going? Are there concerns? Are there things that you're seeing or not seeing as you're either uploading data or looking at your validation and comparing data that you're concerned about? As I've been telling districts at work days, the only way we are able to know what's going on out there is by hearing back from you. So this is not the time to be silent. I think at this point in time, if it makes sense, I'll probably just have people maybe write their questions in, and then we can have a discussion from there, since we've got so many online. So everybody's data looks awesome.
When will errors be available on the advisor validation site?
Yeah, that is a good question. We are working on building that piece. I don't have a good date for you yet on that. It might be in the December to January kind of time frame. I think we may be pushing some other things up ahead of time. Amy and I were just talking. It might be useful to get like some attendance reports going, since that is something that I think has come up a lot at the work days, and we know it's going to be interesting to see if NDE starts calculating the attendance for students, what we're getting. So yeah, I don't have a good date on that yet.
Okay, somebody asked, how are you getting notified of the meetings? If you're referring to the district meetings, generally what I do is I do just send a meeting reminder to the ESU members, the ESU VST members, and have them email that to the districts. I'm not keeping an email list of 245 districts because it would just get annoying to all. And it is also on the advisor calendar. So generally speaking, they're once a month, and they kind of seem to be at the beginning of the month. So you can go on that advisor website, there's a calendar there, and the meeting is listed along with the link on that calendar.
About SRS, they're certified, but they are not sending anyone's data yet. They are going to roll it out first to some individual districts before they will open it up for everyone.
So right, we're working with them to give them a list of districts to roll that out to. They'll do some testing, we'll do some testing, make sure things look right. And then I would anticipate seeing some emails kind of probably sometime in December coming from SRS staff, letting you know what's going on. We're working with them to possibly collaborate on some training, so they might be part of those work days in the spring as well. So those are all things that we'll kind of be working on in December. So for those of you who have done your setup and you started publishing, what are some of your initial thoughts? This is going to be easier. This is going to be harder. About the same. Such a talkative group.
This is Bennington. Dee had a quick question.
Will our SPED data have to be loaded through our student information system still, or will SRS handle that for us?
You will be able to choose what you want to do. Who is your student information system?
SIMS.
Okay, so Anna would be the one who can probably answer that. But what we've asked the student information systems to do is to provide, for lack of a better word, some type of place where you turn that on or off. And I think with SRS, you will have to communicate with them via an email, and that will be something that they turn on or off for you.
So right now with our data, we need to be checking SPED data coming from our system.
Well, right now, if you are publishing data, you do have that option of just using your student information system to publish that. And there are several districts who keep it in both and have decided that Power School or Student Infinite Campus or whatever student information system is what they're going to send to the state, and then they'll just continue to use SRS to manage their SPED.
Okay, thank you.
This is Glenna Withers from HTRS Schools, and one of the errors that I have at this point is on my superintendent under a staff dependency. I'm not exactly sure. I know that my other staff, I put a no, don't send if they had more than one account, but
Okay.
would you put that on the superintendent or not?
Well, he probably needs to see things at a district level. So I'd have to take a look to see how his accounts were set up. Glenna, I'm making a note here. Is he new? He's not new, is he?
No, she isn't. She's been
Or
here
she,
a while.
Okay.
But
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just unsure what to do with her. I mean, she's not a teacher, but I don't have.
Right. We either need to use roles, which is what we've started to, Nebraska Power School started to do, is we would assign a role to him, or her, sorry, to her, that would say what type of access she would have to the dashboard, or you can also use staff assignment. So I would need to go in and see what's been done in order to troubleshoot that. But I understand what you're saying. Right. That isn't a teacher, and you do want to keep them as staff and not a teacher.
Right.
Just like
I'm
other
going
people
to back up here.
yeah,
Let's
that's
see.
a common question from Power School districts in general. Is just it's hard to know what dependencies and errors mean through Power School, so we may provide some extra documentation about that. The error numbers themselves aren't that useful. It's not like an error 409 is really just a generic internet error number. It doesn't work like our NSSRS errors where a 527 means that you go and fix your staff data because whatever. So we can try to provide a little guidance on that, but the errors depend on where you see the error. And we'll try to explain the dependencies. A lot of dependencies are just telling you that some other piece of data that must be sent first has not been sent yet.
Or like even with staff, one of the things I'm noticing is you might get, well, I guess not a dependency, you might get an ID error, but what's really missing is an email is missing someplace. So it's finding the needle in the haystack, as Ellie kind of alluded earlier. We're getting better at this. We do have this very ugly looking document, at least for Power School, and I know Infinite Campus has something similar that kind of talks through some of these errors, but until we kind of get a little bit smarter, it probably would be more confusing than helpful to most. And like Ellie said, a lot of the errors across the board, no matter what your vendor is, an error 400 does not mean the same. Generally, an error 400 just means something is missing. And usually the error is pretty good at telling you what's missing, but sometimes it is finding that needle in a haystack. Like I said, we'll get an error 400 on a staff and it'll say unique ID. You'll go in, the unique ID is there, but what we're finding, and the email's there, but what we're finding is an email might be missing in that staff report, the certificated staff report, or on the NDE staff side. So again, not very specific, but then once we fix that, that fixes it. So just bear with us. We're getting smarter, and pretty soon, you know, just like what error 76 is when you've got 2 kids at one school. Yeah, see, I know what error 76 means. So just like you get familiar with your validation errors on the validation website, you'll become familiar with these. And a lot of what you're doing now is overall fixes. So once you get that staff set up, or you get some of that student information cleaned up, generally speaking, you shouldn't have to do much of that every year, just little bits and pieces. I'm going to kind of go down here and go through the questions, I think. Let's see. Okay, so a lot of 409 errors. Andrea, Andy, we'll just talk when we're at the conference on Friday, but I can send you, we'll talk then.
The course transcript errors, yes, that is something we're aware of, Kim. It's something that we might fix by restructuring the ODS for next year, but then the vendors would have to build for that. So I'm not sure we're going to do that for sure. I'm probably going to implement a quick fix workaround for now, which is I will basically just set up the course transcript to stop trying to verify the course code at all.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah, the system wasn't built to have course codes that go out of date, basically.
So for those of you, Kim's question had to do with we're having some issues as most of you are slowly but surely learning. A lot of the PE course codes changed over the year, and so you've been making those changes, but that has affected, for people who are using the dashboard, for information that goes into the dashboard, that has affected what's called the transcript upload. And like I was telling Max earlier, most of the Power School districts I'm working with, we haven't even gotten that far yet. We've really just been focusing on what the state, kind of the different state domains and where that information comes from. And so that'll be something we'll revisit in the spring, and then hopefully Max will have a workaround by then. So. Okay, so Jay, that's a great question. What staff members need to be uploaded to publish? And what the first question you need to ask as a principal or a superintendent or as a data steward is, who do you anticipate needing access to the dashboard? Okay, you're already doing the teacher to the course type of thing. So we're not even, that's already being done and has been done in your student information system. So what you're dealing with now is who needs access to the dashboard? Does your janitor need access to the dashboard? Probably not. Does your substitute teacher need access to the dashboard? No. The teacher side, for most student information systems, once somebody is identified as a teacher, no matter how your system identifies that, they're probably going to assign them some type of teacher role within the dashboard. The challenge has been identifying somebody who's not a teacher and making sure that they do get access to it. And again, for example, if you have that list of perhaps janitors or other staff members, and the reason you have them in Power School or Student or Infinite Campus or your other student information system is they might get lunch. So they need to have an account in order to get lunch. there is ways to turn off that staff member from publishing to EdFi. Okay, Infinite Campus has a method and PowerSchool has a method. So I won't necessarily go through that here, but there are ways to do that. So if we are having a PowerSchool conference on Friday, and we have almost a whole track that's nothing but EdFi stuff, and that is one of those things I'll talk about. And we're trying to collectively work. Infinite Campus does a good job of this, and PowerSchool needs to improve a little bit. Collectively work to kind of just get some common issues and errors and fixes and whatnot out there. But most of us have been pretty busy just doing work days right now, so it's been hard to put that together and kind of maintain that right now. All right, so hopefully that answered staff. Right, and I agree, Christy, what we've got on Advisor isn't the best right now. PowerSchool has put some stuff together. The bottom line is those of us who've been putting that documentation together have just simply, we've just been at work days and we haven't had time to sit down and put what we would think would be appropriate information to share with everybody else. Right now, we're just doing it via slideshows and things of that nature. So that is something I want to revisit with the VST folks starting in December, and then hopefully we can kind of get a process together on how to develop some of those documents. Infinite Campus is doing a good job of doing that already. Those of you who are with like GoEduStar and JMC, they're putting their own set of stuff together as well. So probably where we're struggling the most in some of this documentation is with PowerSchool, and I get that, and PowerSchool really isn't going to, itself is not going to provide a lot of documentation for us. In fact, their initial documentation they provided us was simply wrong. And so we had to correct them. That was on their document site. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to get a team together that helps us do that. And the error codes will come. I know you guys are really worried about this. We're going to continue to do work days, just like we do NSSRS work days. Next fall, you'll have your Advisor EdFi work days, and then that, summer of 19. And you will slowly but surely understand those errors. And like I said, a lot of these things you're going to fix, they're one-time fixes, and then you'll never see those again. Oh, that's good. So Ellie did say they put in the new course codes, and that helped with a lot of the errors.
Oh, yeah, that's, it's kind of confusing because we have one set of course codes that we're using for this year's sections and courses and grades. But then the problem is that it's also using this year's course codes for your transcript, your history.
3 years, right?
Yeah, or yeah, we say it's recommended to do 9 through 12, although technically it's open for anything. So yeah. So we'll fix it. I mean, don't change any of your course. Change the course codes you need for this year. To match what we have. You should have been doing that for NSSRS already. And don't worry about changing your old courses. We will fix that on our end.
Okay, and like PowerSchool folks, I know it's been a struggle on getting information. If you're part of a cooperative, that's been very helpful to a lot of districts, but I know we have several that aren't, and we're trying to figure out kind of a communication plan and how we can manage that and whatnot. So just bear with us. We're doing our best to get the information out there, but right now we're all pretty busy just getting people set up. So we just kind of ask for patience. Listed for about a month as application. Well, I'd have to look. Let's see, Kyle, what district are you? You're PowerSchool, right? Elmwood.
Yeah.
Elmwood?
I don't think we would do anything to clear up your staff association dependencies.
If you're PowerSchool, come to the workshop on Friday. We'll help you out. If you can't come to the workshop on Friday, we might try to do some webinars, some Zoom things that are vendor specific to help people clear some of those errors and work through that. Kyle, what district are you? Oh, you can just tell me and I can't.
Elwood.
Elwood, there we go. We had the wood part. We sorry. Okay. So I know people get in the weeds about these errors, and you're probably always going to have a few errors because that's just the nature of this beast. A lot of times what happens is we had Gay to, what was it? I know it was Humboldt Table Rock, and I know they're on here, left a work day with no errors. So it is possible. However, then the nightly thing ran and they had a couple of errors the next day, but a lot of them were like those server errors, error 500. So you're probably, just because of the constant uploading of data, there's probably always going to be some syncing issues that just they'll resolve themselves. The most important thing right now is that when you go out to the validation website, your information is accurate. You know, just like now in an SSRS, if you have an error on the verification up when you're uploading your stuff on the data manager and you have an error, but you never wanted that student to go through in the first place, you're just going to leave well enough alone because your data is accurate. So that process, if you will, really hasn't changed. A lot of it is just verifying that your data is accurate. Probably the next thing that I would mention that we have noticed since doing workdays is that districts who are working together as teams that have been bringing 2 or 3 people to a workday, and I realize that's not always possible, are really having the most success. They're realizing where their gaps are in their data. They're realizing some of those issues, and they're kind of able to troubleshoot that. You have more than one set of eyes looking at the data, which makes it probably a little less overwhelming. And even those, we have people who, there's only one person that might show up to a work day, but they have a team of people that they're going back to, or they're on the phone with that other person and they're constantly talking about that data. So that would probably be the other thing I would just enforce to districts, is that you need to work together as a team. This is not one person's job. And I know that's not always been the case, but here's an opportunity to maybe change that because other things are changing as well. There have not been any work days at ESU 3, Andy, but we realize we probably need to do one, so there will be one there in the spring.
Okay,
And
thank you.
maybe if we get organized and I have enough districts, because as we looked at this, we might try to do one more before the end of the year, but I can't promise that.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, it's just best to submit a JIP ticket.
Yes. Yes. And be prepared. A lot of times for me to help people with any of that, or for any of us to help you with that, is we'll probably have to just schedule a Zoom meeting so we can actually see what the dependency looks like, etc.
I guess
Go ahead.
yeah, the first step to try with the dependency is to republish whatever it says your dependency is on. So if you have a school association dependency, try to republish your school associations, which are part of student enrollment in PowerSchool. Sometimes it's hard to know what you need to publish because there's multiple tables or templates within each row on PowerSchool. So student enrollments includes student school associations as well as student section placements, section associations. So we can maybe provide a little guidance about that as well. But
Should we be publishing attendance data? Go ahead and throw it up there. We don't have any reports yet. Max can see if it makes it there. But it's been interesting to see what kind of errors that we get, because you're actually sending me 2 types of things. You're sending me your school attendance, and then you're also sending what's called your section attendance. And that's where we're seeing some of the errors come into play as in regards to those new course codes. Those aren't getting published.
yeah, as well as section attendance, also then you start running into sections that aren't reported to the state,
Right.
which you could use the new study hall course code that we put in the system for that. Yeah, the school or the daily attendance is the one that the state is going to care about, just to be clear. The section attendance for each individual section, that's really just for use in the dashboard.
Elise, that's a good question. I know Max has got, don't you have a meeting with GoEduSend in the near future?
I haven't scheduled anything
Okay.
yet, but Yeah, at least we need something like that, but first we would have to be able to see what errors
Yeah.
we're getting in some way.
Yeah. And TO Register doesn't have like this little dashboard that shows you what's wrong. So, yeah, we just need to work through that. But we do have that on our radar.
Yeah, just I need to talk to Registar again, and see if I can get some out of them first. But then, yeah, we can definitely talk about doing like an ESU one day for that, or a web meeting for all the Registar districts.
Perfect. So when you go out to the validation site or the advisor validation site, which is what you should start doing, are things looking accurate? Are things, for most of you, are they starting to look accurate? You can identify your issues, or are people seeing, you know, like you have 200 kids, but it's only publishing 50 kids? Are any of you having any of those kind of huge gaps? Good.
Got a few tickets. Yeah, I've got a couple in tickets in JITBIT
Yeah, we gotta go.
that I haven't necessarily looked at everything on them yet, but
You know, Infinite Campus has kind of just been working one-on-one with districts, and then, yeah, there's been some different work days. I don't know. I think they might be done, but I don't know that for sure. Good. Good. Well, that's what I would say, except for just like usually if there's a big gap, there's usually kind of one major issue, and it's sometimes you just got to check a box or remap something. But overall, most districts have been pretty successful looking at their data and finding their data to be pretty accurate. And some of the inaccuracies we found have actually had to do with how we've coded the report. So when we find those have been updated and changed.
This last one.
Yeah.
yeah, Chris.
Oh, Chris, you're O'Neill, right, Chris? Yeah, okay, I'll look at your stuff.
Okay, so you're saying one membership report says 123 and a different report says 482?
That might be memorized. Oh, we might have fixed that. I'll get it. I got you written down, Chris. We had something similar to that the other day on the roster where Max was showing us everybody on the roster instead of that grade or that district, so, or that school. And that is up to date. Okay, O'Neill. Okay. Go ahead and put in a JITBIT ticket, O'Neill. Actually, just put it into any BPS JITBIT and then just assign it. Just tell them to put it in my queue. That way I'll take a look at it. Thank you, Michelle. I knew there wasn't another one coming up. Okay, the JITBIT ticket site is if you go to this advisor website and you go to home, this is your email to get to the JITBIT. And then I don't know, is there an actual like, yeah, and then here's, if you click on the JITBIT tab, here's the link to actually get in and log in.
And probably everyone on this call is actually set up as the district point of contact technician in JITBIT, so you should all have logins, I'm guessing. So yeah, either way, you can log into the JITBIT link and put in a ticket through the interface, or you can just send that email. So either way, I'll assign it to your district's category so that you can see it.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? All right. I will take the silence as no. We will stay on the line for a little while, so if anybody does have a question and that they wanted to share, but maybe not with the whole group, you can do that. Otherwise,
So Glenn, log into JIFIT, there's a register button, isn't there?
Yeah, you create your own login.
Glenna, this is Jenny. I'll give you a call after our meeting today after lunch and give you a little tour of that JIFIT again. You do have an account, and I'll help you get into it. So I'll call you later.
Great, thank you.
all right. Well, you're all free to go. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We do not have a meeting in December. So our next meeting actually isn't until January. So if anything does happen or we need any updates prior to that, a lot of that will be sent to your ESU VST members to distribute appropriately, or we'll put something in the NDE bulletin. Over the next couple of months, we're kind of just going to regroup a little bit, work on some of that communication, getting some documents out there, organizing the spring work days, things of that nature, and continue to help districts with errors and whatnot. So,
And try to keep that into the validation.
and yeah, and that too.
Catching up.
Okay, so technically speaking, we won't see you in Zoom land again till next year.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.